a very simple design that I picked up from the Silhouette online store. It was under the category of sketch. I wanted one that I could sketch and cut. So I literally just typed in the search button, or I put in the filter for a sketch design, and I picked this one. So what you see in red here is what I want to sketch, and then I wanted to cut a border around it. So I simply just use the offset for that. And if anybody wants to try to make this exact thing at home, I can tell you my offset distance was 0.09. So what I did was I offset it by 0.09 and I made those lines black. And that is what you see here. And now it's really blurry because this is, like ready to cut. So your lines get a lot brighter when you do that. But everything in red is what I'm going to sketch, and everything in black is what I'm going to cut. So as you guys can see, like so far, this is nothing new. We're good. It gets a little trickier when we start to now adjust our cut settings and get our machine prepped and ready to cut. So I'm going to bring up the cut settings so that you can see some of the differences. You can see I have a couple windows, a couple options here that some of you don't have. And these are the ones that Stacey was talking about too. I have an emboss option and I have a stippling option, which we're going to eventually get to. David said, was the red already filled in? David, you know what? It's actually not filled in. I'm going to zoom in so you can see. If you see, there we go. See how it's actually not filled in. Those are just all of the sketch lines. They're going to give us the look of it being hand drawn. It just looked like it was filled in because I have to have this zoomed in so much so you guys get a nice crisp picture of my software. So it came just like this. I literally did not change the design at all. All I did was offset it, and those are the black lines that you see. The red lines came through from the design store and I didn't adjust them at all. I hope that answers your question. If not, let me know. Okay, so we're going to, good, perfect. So we're going to now open up our cut settings window. And at first look, you think, okay, everything looks almost exactly the same. The difference is you have this extra column right here. We're used to seeing this part where, okay, I want my black lines to be my cut lines, and I'm going to cut them from cover stock. I want my red lines to be my sketch pen, and I want this to say Silhouette Sketch Pen. That part is the same. The difference is right here. You now have your tools. You have two options with the Curio. And when we open up the Curio, and when I bring that up, I'll show you one of them is marked with a red circle and one is marked with a blue. So you simply can just change that. If I clicked here, it would make this the blue one or the red one. So when I load this in, I want to make sure that in this case, the red tool is my actual blade, because I'm going to cut those lines, right? And my blue tool is my sketch pen. And that's really the biggest difference inside the software, is that in here you need to designate which one is which. Now, I'm going to be honest and say this part was the trickiest for me, because it's kind of, not only is it like two things to figure out, you color code your lines and then you color code your tool. It was hard for me to then transfer that to my machine. I had to practice a couple times to make sure I had the right tool in the right housing matched up with the right color line. But I feel like, that's not a Silhouette error. That's a user error. That's something that, is a problem because I'm just new to the machine, and with some practice, I'll be fine with that. I don't think that that's an issue here with the machine or with the software or anything like that. So you can, of course, change some things. Like right now I have cover stock selected. So just like you would on your old software, you can change your material type right here. You can, it tells you what your blade setting should be. Now we're starting to get to something that might look a little bit different. We have what's called a platform. So I'm going to bring up my other feed so you can look at the machine, and I'm going to talk a little bit about what platform means and how that affects how you're going to load everything into your machine. So I just want to talk real quick then about the housing. So if you see very closely here, I'm going to tilt it up. Do you see there's a red circle and a blue circle? So that corresponds, just like I said, to, let me bring it up over here so you can see again. Slide back up just for a quick second. So we said over in my software, the red circle should be a blade because those are my cut lines, which it is. And the blue circle should be a sketch pen because those are my sketch lines, which it is. Okay? And the only other thing, I had to look around for a second, was to find a place to adjust the blade. And there actually is a little place to adjust the blade on the platform that you put in the machine. It's not actually on the base of the machine anywhere. So that threw me for a loop for a minute. I couldn't find a place to adjust it, my cut settings. Okay, so this is going to look really different. The whole way that you put in your, it's called a platform now, it's not called a mat, is very different. And one thing that you have to be aware of, and it's more important now than it used to be, is that your platform now, this is it, is rock solid. It's not like your cutting mat that bends a little bit. So you really have to be sure that there is nothing behind your machine, or else as this thing moves back and forth through, it's going to knock off whatever you got back there. So this is a little bit more important than in the past when you had a flexible cutting mat or you were just putting a roll of vinyl through. This time you really, really need to be careful that you have nothing behind there that's going to impede the platform from going in and out. Okay, so the next thing to talk about is technically the platform looks like this. It's totally blank when you get it. And it has these little clips on the side. So what's interesting here is this, your Curio can put in very, very, well, I shouldn't say very, very, a lot thicker materials than what we're used to. So if you have a really thick material, you probably just need to put down a cutting mat and your material and you're good to go. I think they're going to be telling us that we can cut cork and thin layers of tin, things like that, or emboss them. So, in that case, you would just probably pop that on your cutting mat and put it on here. In my case, I'm just cutting cover stock, which is very thin. So if I were to put this through right now, the blade, let me scoot it back, is probably not going to come down far enough to touch my platform. So that's where that platform number comes in. If I go back to my software, remember, this said that for cover stock, I need a platform of 6. So you're thinking to yourself, okay, how do I get a platform level of 6? I need to build this up to 6. What is 6? Well, your machine comes with a whole assortment of different mats. And they have a number on the side. It's hard to see. I'm going to put it real close. I don't know if you can see it. There's a 2 here, a 2 here. There's a 1 on this one. And then there is a 1 on the actual cutting mat also. And you want to make sure that you stack them up so the numbers add up to whatever your platform requirement is. So for me, 6. I need to get these to add up to a 6. So I've got a 2. Plus another 2 gives me 4. These are thicker. Then I have a 1 that's a little bit thinner. That gives me a 5. And then my actual cutting mat is also a 1. That gives me a 6. Does that make sense? And you can see how thick they are. And that is going to take up the space and build it up so that now my blade will come down and hit the paper. But remember, I got 4 things stacked up here. I need to find a way to get them to not wiggle around as I put them through the machine. That's where these little snaps come in. So you're going to stack them all up. They have holes that line up with each other. And you just put them all on, stack them all up just like I did here. The holes have come through the holes in all of the little platforms. And these little things just snap on. And that's going to keep it from wiggling around at all. And you're going to do the same thing over here on this side. I'm going to put all of my levels through. And then these little snaps are going to come over just like that. And now these things aren't budging. They're staying put. And I can peel off the blue just like our old cutting mats. And I'm going to put on a piece of paper that I already cut to 8.5 by 6. You don't have to use 8.5 by 6 every time. Just like before, you could do smaller and then adjust that in your software too so that you knew it was going to fit on your paper. But there's 8.5 by 6 put on there. Okay, so now the next thing that's tricky is, I had to read this a couple times. My machine is actually off. And I want it off before I put this platform through. There's a little notch on the side right here. So while the machine is completely off, this is sounds kind of weird, I know. You just want to push this in. While it's off, these rollers on each side move freely. So you just want to push it as far in until that little notch is up inside the machine. Right about there is fine. When your machine comes on, it kind of configures itself. It can sense where the platform is, and it gets itself in the right place. So now the on button is over here on the side, and now I will turn it on, and you'll see it kind of resets itself and has it at its home base right here. And we're ready. That's it. So the hardest part for me was figuring out, okay, how many platforms do I need, and getting my tools set up inside the software. Now we're ready to come back to our software and just click send to Silhouette. And I'm going to let it go right now, and then I see that there's already a couple questions coming in. So I'm just going to let this go and let it end. So this way we'll talk while this thing sketches and cuts our entire design. Let's see. Well, I'll let you guys look at it for a minute and watch. Okay. So it's cutting first. And because this is thicker paper, it automatically selected double cut, which I really probably don't need for this paper, and I should have turned off because now it's going to take us a little bit longer. But since it's already started, I'm going to let it go. But this, it's going to cut it first, and then it's going to sketch it. At first, I was nervous that, oh gosh, is that okay if it cuts it first? There's a little piece sticking up there. Is that okay if it cuts it first? I was worried for some reason, but it cut it first last time, and it was totally fine. So I think it's okay. I did read somewhere that you can override the software so that you can choose which color it does first, either the red tool or the blue tool, but I couldn't find that anywhere in the software, and I updated last night to make sure that I had the most recent version. The convenience of this is really nice. Now, doing sketch and cuts, we've done them before in the Craft Academy years, literally we can say that now that we've been here for 2 years, years before the Curio came out. But it is nice that you only have to put it through your machine once. So like, everything's all loaded. I can walk away from this and it can be completely done when I come back. I don't have to come back in between to swap out the blade, put in the sketch pen, and send it through again. So that is kind of nice. I want to really get the camera in here so you can see like how it's just going to absolutely switch from. So right now it's doing the border all the way around the whole entire thing. And some people say, like with the whole idea of the mobile app coming out, people say, I just want to be able to send stuff to my Cameo and let it cut. Like I can't do that. I have to babysit my machine. I get so nervous. So like right now, even like I'm looking at it and I can't just let it go. I have to be right on top of it. I could never just walk away from it like that. So I know some people can, but I want you to see how it's just going to seamlessly switch. In the software, you can choose for some reason, if you wanted to, for it to pause in between, and then you would have to manually start it so that the next tool would kick in. But I feel like that kind of defeats the purpose of the Curio to do that. The whole point of this is that it's really convenient and great that it does all of this on its own, and we don't have to worry about that. So you see how now that seamlessly switched, and it's now sketching all of the lines that were in red. That's really it. I mean, I can let it go, but it's really just going to come out looking, let me put it here so everybody can see, just like this. It's super cute. My daughter has already claimed this for herself to hang in her room. Now I have 2 of them. But I just wanted you guys to get a good look of how it would happen. And I mean, from here on out, it's the same. You're going to peel it up off the mat. Some of your bits and pieces are going to stick behind, but you know, nothing new. So if you guys have any questions at all about the Curio, so we already have a list of things that we want to talk about next month. But like I said, I don't want this to turn into a Curio class. That's not fair to everyone else. But these things I will cover in bits and pieces here, or like I said, I'm going to do a free kind of like webinar next month too, where I'll do a ton of projects there also. So we will cover all of this stuff at some point. It might not be here in the grad program, but it will be available to everybody at some point.